Hi everyone. I hope I am audible. Let me just check this if this is live. So yes, happy Diwali everyone. Just a second. So let me just check this. Yeah. So this one is live. Okay, the topic for today is central nervous system. Okay, so before I start with the discussion about the brain and the spinal cord, the arrangement of neurons in these two parts, so that's brain and spinal cord. So let me introduce myself. I'm Vani Kari, biology educator at Unacademy. I'm an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. Just a second. Okay, so this is fine, right? Alright, so let's get started. So moving on to the central nervous system. So let's have a look at the introduction. So this I have taken from Selena textbook. Okay, so this is taken from Selena textbook. Yes, it anyway is applicable for all the other state board or the what we call CBSE or ICSE. So it is applicable to everything because you can find nervous system. Okay, and from nervous system, yes, of course you'll be studying about the brain and the spinal cord. So it is a in general topic. So two major divisions of the nervous system. So you can mainly find there is a central nervous system, so CNS, which includes brain. Okay, and this is protected by what? It is protected by the skull, so mainly the cranium part. Okay, so cranium provides the protection, so that is to your brain. So skull part when we mention. So then there is spinal cord, which is protected by the vertebral column, so that is in the neural canal of this vertebrae. Okay, so there lies this particular spinal cord, and you can find the spinal cord is basically passing through the neural canal of each of the vertebrae, and the protection is provided by them. So then there is peripheral nervous system, PNS. Okay, so this includes nerves that emerge from and enter into the brain and the spinal cord. So here it is the brain as well as the spinal cord. So there are nerves which are emerging. Okay, and those nerves are considered under the peripheral nervous system. So let's have a look at the brain structure and arrangement. So any doubt in this part? I hope you guys have understood. Okay, just a second. Okay, so now with respect to the proportion of the size of the body, so human brain is largest among all. So you can find this to be the largest among all the animals. Okay, so brain is very delicate organ, and that's the reason. So there is a brain box, or the skull, or the cranium of the skull is the one which is providing the protection. So cranium can be called as the brain box. Okay, and this brain box provides protection to the delicate organ. So that delicate organ is nothing but the brain. Okay, so adult brain, so this weighs about 1.35 kg. So let's say if this is the brain now, and there are foldings that you can find in the brain. Okay, so there are convolutions you can find. Just a second. Okay, I'll change the ink. So if we mention this to be a brain nerve, okay, so there you can find this medulla, cerebellum, the medulla oblongata part over here, and there is a spinal cord which is going to emerge from here. Okay, so this is the part where we call as the pons. Okay, so now you know here you can find this folding. So anyway, it is not straight away as such. So this is the brain, which is provided protection with many coverings as such. So there are coverings for the brain, so we'll discuss about them as well. Okay, so this is about the central nervous system, and here you can find furrows. Okay, so there are tiny furrows that you can find. So there are no convolutions as such, but yes, there are furrows, of course. Okay, so this is about the cerebellum part. So let me just label this. So this one is cerebrum. Okay, and then you can find there is a cerebellum part. So then there is this pons part. Okay, so then you can find there is this medulla oblongata. Okay, so this one is medulla oblongata. Okay, so the continuity of this one will be the spinal cord. So continuity from here, it would form the spinal cord. So as such, you can find many convolutions here and there. Okay, so this is basically the brain part only on the whole when we consider. And here in the center, yes, you can find there are certain associated parts. Okay, so those are like, you know, hanging from thalamus. There is a hypothalamus part. So from there you can find there is a pituitary gland. So there is a pineal gland as well. Okay, so with respect to this is the structure of brain that you can find. So I'm having a cold, do excuse it. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So the adult brain, which weighs about 1.35 kg. So this is how much kg? So this is about 1.35 kg. Okay, and what is mentioned? So this forms about 2% of the body weight. Hi Suraj, good evening. Okay, so this forms about 2% of your total body weight. What is there? So this is formed by the brain alone. Okay, so then it is 80% water. So you can find a maximum amount of water and consumes more than 25% of the total oxygen. So let's say 100% oxygen consumption is occurring. Good evening. Okay, so that is by your whole body if we consider. So in that 25% of the oxygen requirement is there for the brain. Okay, and now let's say the total percentage is 100% when we mention. So 80% of the brain is basically water alone. Okay, so it consists of water as such. Okay, and the total oxygen of the body, it is basically 25% is taken there. Yes, Suraj, this class is of 10th. Okay, so then you can find coverings of the brain. So those coverings are called as meninges. Okay, so you can find mainly 3 coverings for the brain. So let me just draw here. So there is innermost covering. Yes, Suraj. So this is for class 10. Yes, class 10. Okay, so now innermost covering is what? Innermost covering is pia mater. Okay, so let's say we'll draw this covering. So the covering of this brain is basically the pia mater being the innermost. So there you can find foldings with respect to pia mater as well, as it is in close proximity with the brain. Okay, so this one is pia mater. So let me just label this. So this is pia mater. So why I have drawn it is red in color is, so as you can see, the pia mater which is this, it is the innermost highly vascular membrane. So what is the meaning of vascular? The meaning of vascular is it is supplied with the blood. Okay, so this is richly supplied with the blood. Okay, and that's the reason. So this is basically a pia mater which appears to be somewhat red. So next layer from inside to outside when we consider, so a thin delicate middle layer, so giving a web like cushion, so that is arachne. So arachnoid. So maybe we can take another color for this. Okay, so there is a arachnoid. Okay, so which is going to form the continuity with this pia mater. Okay, so this is gonna be the arachnoid layer. so which basically acts like a cushion as it is having a spider like appearance, spider web like appearance, okay, which is acting as a cushion. So here this one is arachnoid. So let me just label this. So this is arachnoid. Then outermost mentioned what? The outermost of fibrous membrane. So this is basically the dura mater. The tough or the tough mother matter here is mother. So we'll draw one more covering for this. So this is anyway going to be in continuity with the rest of the मैम आपकी सर्दी हो गई है. Yes, I am actually having cold since long time. It is not going actually. So other than that, you can also find there is dura mater, which is the outermost layer, the toughest one. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so now with respect to this, let me just take another color. Let's check this. Okay, so there is a arachnoid. So then covering this arachnoid, you can find the dura mater. So this is going to be made of the fibrous tissue. So we can say it is a tough covering or a tough matter. So above this, yes, you can find the skull. So this is going to be continued below also as such, like all the three layers, the arachnoid, the pia mater and the dura mater. So all of them are continuity even with the spinal cord. So maybe we can just show it this way as well. So they are anyway in continuity. Okay, so same with respect to these two also, pia mater as well as arachnoid. So now here the on top of this you can find there is a skull. Okay, so this part over here is gonna be the skull part or the cranium part, which is providing a protection to your brain. Okay, so now this layer what I have drawn, so they'll label this one. Let me just label this. So this one is dura mater. Okay. So all of these are in continuity as such. So on this side also it is going to be the same thing. So same way with respect to pia mater, which is highly vascular in nature. So you can find the pia mater being there. So this will continue down. So these are the coverings of the brain. So let's have a look at it. So there is some disturbance here. I hope you can hear me. So is there a disturbance? Construction work is going on. I think there is a disturbance. Okay. So meningitis is the inflammation of the meninges. Okay. So that is the covering which is there. So that covering we call as meningitis. So if there is any infection to these membranes, so there is a swelling, inflammation that can be seen. So that we call as meningitis. So meningitis is the inflammation of the meninges. So space between the covering membrane. So this is filled with the watery fluid, and that fluid which is there between all these layers, so that we call as cerebrospinal fluid. So that you can find between here. So that is between all these membranes you can find there is a cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, so same with respect to here also. So you can find there is a cerebrospinal fluid which is there between the membranes as such. Okay, so we can just color it as such, so that this yellow colored one which I am drawing, so it is actually a cerebrospinal fluid. So this is going to be cerebrospinal fluid which is there, and same with respect to this one as well. So you can just cover this up. Okay, So between the covering you can find a cerebrospinal fluid which acts as the shock absorber, or we can mention protecting the brain from mechanical injury. So that will be protected. So it's done by the cerebrospinal fluid, so which acts like a cushion to protect the brain from shocks. So the same fluid also fills I think so, I'm not so sure about that. Okay, so the same fluid also fills the central spaces, so that is ventricles of the brain and the central canal of the spinal cord. So same fluid, that is CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, will be there. So let's have a look at the parts of the brain. So with respect to parts of the brain has three major or three main parts visible externally. So there is a cerebrum part, cerebellum part, and there is a medulla oblongata part that can be seen. So cerebrum is the largest portion. So as you can find in here, so this being the largest part, so this complete part comes under cerebrum. Okay, so cerebrum being the largest part and is divided into two halves, so that is cerebral hemisphere. Okay, so their outer surface is highly convoluted with ridges and grooves. So you can find there are foldings like this. So there are ridges and grooves that are found throughout this brain. Okay, and other than that, the cerebral hemisphere is hollow, that is internally, and the walls have two regions. So there is a outer region and there is a inner region. So outer cortex we call. Okay, so outer one being the cortex and inner one being the medulla. So there is a medulla region and there is a cortex region. So you can find two types there. So outer cortex and there is a inner medulla which can be found. Okay, so now you can see, so there are sulci and gyri. Okay, so sulci and gyri are nothing but the ridges and grooves which are shown there. So all these parts are shown there. So there is a corpus callosum, so there is pineal gland, so there is midbrain. So when you are drawing the brain structure, so you make sure that every part is included in this. So the outer portion, cortex of the cerebrum, is made up of cell bodies. So cortex is having what? Cell body of the neuron, and it is grey in color and hence it is a grey matter. Okay, so this is very important. So it is a layer of grey matter which is folded to form convolution. So you can find foldings there. Okay, so these foldings, what are there? So these are called as the gyri. Okay, so this is basically a gyri, and this particular sulci, so like ridges, what are there? Okay, so there are grooves and ridges, or grooves or folds and grooves. So these grooves, what are there? So these are called as the sulci or the creases. So there are sulci or there is a gyri. So both of them will be there because of their foldings. So now such a system increases. So what exactly does it do? So it increases the surface area so that it can accommodate more nerve cell. So this is the reason why there are foldings which are presented. Okay, and with these foldings more number of nerve cells can accommodate. So which are the nerve cells here? So it is believed that the higher number of convolutions in the human brain is due to large number of brain, that is nerve cells, and hence the greater intelligence. So now the inner portion of the cerebrum consists of the white matter. So this is about the white matter. So now moving on to this part. So you can see there is this part that we were discussing, so about the gyri and sulci. So let's have a look at this other part as well, so which is very important. Okay, so let me just check this. Okay, so now this was the outer portion. So now with respect to inner portion of the cerebrum, so it consists of white matter. Okay, and this white matter is mainly made up of a axon. So this you need to remember. So they'll ask you arrangement of neuron in the brain. So you need to know what is gray matter made up of, where it is present, what is white matter made up of, and where it is present. So corpus callosum, when we mention, so it is a hard body, or basically it is a sheet of fiber connecting the two cerebral hemispheres. So function is to transfer the information. So what is done by the corpus callosum? The corpus callosum transfer the information from one hemisphere to the other. Okay. So highly developed cortex, that is gray matter, enables us to think, reason out, invent, plan and memorize. So all this is done under the guidance from the cerebral part itself. So overall the cerebrum is the seat of intelligence, consciousness and the willpower. So it controls all voluntary actions. So this is about controlling the voluntary actions. So all the voluntary actions are under the control by the cerebrum. So here some major functions associated mentioned. So thinking, memory, and the speech, smell, taste, hearing, body balance, vision, so movement, sensation. So all these are by different parts which are mentioned there. So what is generally called the subconscious or unconscious mind? So it is located in the cerebrum itself. So subconscious and unconscious is also present in the cerebrum. So many past experiences covered by more recent impression which will dominate conscious activity. So in dreams, so when you are dreaming, so when hypnotized and skillfully questioned, so past experience may be recalled. So clear about this, Suraj? So cerebellum is much smaller area. Okay. So this is located at the base and under the large cerebrum. So there are no correlation, but yes, you can find lots of furrows there. So this also has an outer cortex which is again having a gray matter. So this is with respect to cerebellum. Okay, not cerebrum. So cerebrum also is anyway the same thing. So outer cortex is the gray matter. Centrally, that is inner one, it has a white matter which again made up of the axon itself. So which median section appears like a branching tree. Okay. So the main function of cerebellum is to maintain the balance of the body. So body balance. So there is a muscular coordination that has to occur from right side to the left side. Okay. So that muscular coordination between the right side and the left side. So this is done by the cerebellum. Okay. So the impulse for transferring or performing a muscular act originates in the cerebrum and not in the cerebellum. So impulse for regulating a particular activity, so that is anyway done in the cerebrum itself. Okay, but the balancing activity is done by the cerebellum. So for example, if you stand up and walk, the impulse for this activity arises from the cerebrum part, okay, or arises in the cerebrum part, so that is the conscious part. So the act of walking involves coordinated working of many muscles. Proper coordination and timing of their contraction and relaxation is the responsibility of the cerebellum. So in that case, so there is a proper walking is possible, or we can say muscular coordination can be seen with respect to right side of the body and the left side. So an alcoholic person when drunk generally walks clumsily. So that is because the cerebellum, due to effect of alcohol, is unable to coordinate muscular movements properly. Okay, and that's the reason the one who drinks alcoholic content, so their cerebellum does not work because of the alcoholic content. Okay, so moving on to medulla oblongata. So medulla oblongata is the lowest portion of the brain located at the base of the skull. So this location is very important. It is the lowest portion of the brain located at the base of the skull. So it is roughly triangular and is continued behind as the spinal cord. So function is to control the activities. So controlling the activities of the internal organs. So this is done by the medulla oblongata. Okay, so peristaltic movement of the alimentary canal, movement of breathing, so there is a contraction and relaxation that you can see. Okay. Then other than that, the peristaltic movement, so movement by breathing, so beating of the heart. So many other involuntary actions are there which are controlled by the medulla oblongata. So injury to medulla oblongata, so this can result in death. So with respect to spinal cord, so it is anyway the reverse here in spinal cord. So if I have to see, this is now a matter. So there is a gray matter and there is a white matter if we mention. So you can find, just a second. So you can find there are white matter and there is a gray matter. Okay. So based on the positioning, so let's say here the gray matter containing the cell bodies of motor, so that is efferent and association neurons, so they live on the, or they lie on the inner side, so that is inside of the spinal cord. So you can find there is a gray matter and the outside it is white matter. So here if I have to show you this diagram, let me just draw this. Okay, so now you can see, so there is the spinal cord part. Okay, and from spinal cord what can be seen, so this is now a gray matter. Okay, so the medulla region is having a gray matter and the cortex region is having the white matter. So white matter can be seen in here. So white matter is made up of what? It is made up of axon. The grey matter is made up of what? It is made up of cell bodies. So cell body is present over here. Alright. So the white matter contains axons running longitudinally to and fro from the brain, even crossing one side to the other. So there is a small central canal. So where exactly that small central canal will be? So here you can see in this diagram. So this is the small central canal through which the cerebrospinal fluid runs. Okay. So in which the entire length is continuous with the cavities of the brain. So it is also filled with cerebrospinal fluid, which is acting as a shock proof or the shock absorber and forms the medium for exchange of material. So the food or the oxygen exchange or any waste product that has to be removed, so it is through the cerebrospinal fluid the removal is done. Okay. Okay, so let's have a look at the external function. So externally, the spinal cord, when we mention, so it is covered by three membranes, so same as that of a brain. So the dura mater, arachnoid and pia mater. Okay, so the spinal cord is concerned with the following three functions. So reflexes below the neck is associated with this. Conducting sensory impulse from skin and muscles to the brain is done by this. So conducting motor response from the brain and to the muscles. So basically motor response across the spinal cord only it has to go. So responses from brain to the muscles of the trunk and limb, so is also conveyed by the spinal cord. Okay, so we are done with this particular brain and spinal cord structure and or structural arrangement and function. So any doubts you guys have, so you can ask. So which of the following is absent in a neuron? So here ribosome, centrosome, chromosome and lysosome. So any idea on this? Suraj is here. So which of the following is absent in a neuron? So it is the centrosome. So since neurons have lost the capacity to undergo division, so there is no centrosome present. Okay, so how like exactly like brain tumor and all we have heard of. So if this neuron has lost the capacity to divide, then what exactly is dividing? It's the neuroglia. Okay, so neuroglia undergoes division to form uncontrolled cell division and there is a formation of tumor. So nervous system consists of brain, spinal cord, nerves and all of the above. So it is the nervous system. So specifically if we are talking about the central nervous system, so it's brain and spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system when we mention, so it includes everything. So any of you are having any doubt? So Suraj is having any doubt? Others? Okay. Okay, so 1 second, let me just check this. Okay, all right, so I'll end the session. So next my session will be on Friday. Okay, so you can just click on the bell icon to get notified about the session. Also, you can subscribe to our new channel, so that is ICSE and ISC Masters. Like and share the video, and if you need this PDF, yes, you can join my Telegram, so that is Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology. You can search on Telegram and join the Telegram. Okay, okay, all right everyone, so see you all in the next session. Bye bye everyone, thank you all.